Okay, in this video we're going to download a picture over the internet using Google image search. We're going to learn how to change the parameters of the search to find images that are likely to work well with the Autodigitizer. We're going to do some really slight editing of an image, and then we're going to turn it into stitches in MasterWorks using the auto-digitizing program in MasterWorks. And then we're going to put some lettering around it. So let's get started. First thing, let's talk about the type of image that really lends itself well to auto-digitizing. Photographs don't really work. There's a photo stitch built into this, but it really doesn't work that well. Pictures with a lot of shading, a lot of detail, they don't really work that well with auto-digitizing. What you want are images that are like cartoony. And these are the kinds of images that we're going to be able to create really, really easily. So think like Pokemons, Disney princesses, stuff that kids are into in general tends to be kind of cartoony. So you could easily make a little Dora the Explorer thing, or you know, any kind of thing, the TV show or whatever that any kid is into. You'd be able to make a custom design for them out of it. So it's really pretty useful in that regard, but you have to appreciate the limitations in order to make the most of the auto-digitizer, and you have to kind of be able to look at a picture and be able to say, this is going to work or this isn't going to work. And a lot of that is really just trial and error. So I'll try to guide you in the right direction, but don't be afraid. If you don't know whether something's going to work or not, try it and see. The worst thing that'll happen is, you know, you waste a couple minutes playing with it, but it really won't even be wasted because you're going to have that experience. And believe me, I've had plenty of experience doing things that don't work. And that's part of why I know so much about it, is because I've messed up so many times. I know, you know, the things not to do because I've done them all. All right, so let's get out of theory crafting here and go into the wild, so to speak, of Google. I'm going to open up an internet browser here. I'm already at Google's website, google.com. So if you're not there already, just type in google.com into your address bar up here at the top. I'll wait. All right, so now we're on Google's website. Some days this might not say Google here, or it'll always say Google, but it might have like some kind of little graphic up here. Don't be confused by that. It's just something that Google does every now and again. And the first thing we're going to do is go up to the upper right-hand part of the screen where it says Images, and we're going to click on that. Images, left click. Okay, so now we're on Google Image Search. And so here is where you're just going to look for whatever it is you're looking for, whatever the thing is that you're looking to do. And for this class, I've decided that I want to have a picture of a crab that has the American, or not the American flag, the Maryland flag in it. We're going to do a Maryland flag crab. So since that's what I'm looking for, I'm just going to type this in to the search engine here. I'm just going to type in Maryland crab. I'm holding a microphone, that's why it's taking me so long to type. Flag. Okay, and I'm just going to click, either hit enter or click this little magnifying glass here, and off Google goes searching for an ideal image for me to use. Okay, so looking at this, I'm seeing some that are going to work well, some that are not going to work so well. I'm just kind of looking around at these different images here. And so what we're looking for is the most clear and largest picture that we can find. And just by looking at this, it doesn't really tell you how big a given image is. But if you roll your mouse over any given image, it's going to tell you how many pixels that image is made of. Okay, so this one here is 240 by 240. This one, well, this is a mustache, not a crab. But if you wanted a Maryland flag mustache, that might actually be kind of cool. There's one. So like that one was 636 by 441. That's actually a pretty good size. What you're really looking for is you want them to be over 1,000. One of those numbers should be over 1,000. If it is, then you should be golden. Okay, but you find one that you want. And so the other thing is we're looking for things that are clear, that don't have a lot of shading. If you look at this one, this is actually a picture of embroidery. That's not going to work that well. Again, here's one that's a picture of a thing. It's not like a drawing of the thing. This is a tattoo. That's not going to work either. You know, so you want things that are as clear and crisp as you can possibly find. And there's actually a way to sort out a lot of the stuff that's not going to work. This picture of this crab here, this hat with a crab on it, you know, a photograph of an actual crab shell painted like the Maryland flag. While that's cool, that's not what we're looking for. So we can narrow it down using, up at the top of the search results here, there's a button that says Search Tools. And what you're going to do is left click on that, and then you can go over first, set the size. If you left click on size, change that to large, and automatically will resort my results to show me only large images. But we've still got all this stuff that's irrelevant, like this tattoo of this guy has of the design that we're looking for. And there's another one that's a photograph of the design. It's nice and big, but again, not really gonna work for what we're doing. I actually see one that's gonna work perfectly, this one here. But we can actually sort another way here by changing from, okay, so we did large, and we want to change type. We're going to change it from any type. Right now it's looking for any type. We can choose faces, photos, which is not what we want, clip art, line drawing, or animated. What we want is a clip art. So we're going to left click on clip art. And that's going to give us all kind of cartoony pictures. Sometimes, like here with this chick wearing the shirt here, sometimes, you know, it doesn't really pick the best things all the time, but it kind of helps narrow things down. Now, if we look at this particular image here, it says that it's 3592 by 3592. That's huge, and that's great. That's what we want. We want big, the biggest possible image we can find, and I think we found it here. So what we're going to do is left-click on this one. We can see it a little bit closer up. Okay. And then, see, it doesn't give me the full resolution image here. Okay, if I click View Image, then I get the full deal here. And so I've got my whole image here. I can even left click and zoom in even farther. We can see how big this image really is. It's huge, and that's exactly what we want. Now we've got this this little logo here, Steez Tees. I guess that's whoever made this picture. And while it's certainly not very nice of us to steal his picture, we're going to anyway. But we're not going to sell this to somebody else. If you're doing this to sell to other people, you shouldn't steal people's artwork like this. You should find out who owns the rights to it and everything, and all of that jazz. But we're doing this just for personal use here, so we're going to use it, and we're going to get rid of this Steez Tees thing. But just FYI, not very moral to do this and then go and resell it to somebody. So anyway, now we need to save this. We need to save this on our computer somewhere that we're going to know where it is. So the way you do it in pretty much all browsers, you're going to right-click on the image. We're going to choose Save Picture As, and we just want to make sure we save it somewhere that we know where it is. I actually have a folder on my iDrive, storage drive here, for digitizing images, and I actually already have this picture in here. So we're going to hit Save. I already have it there. We'll go ahead and replace it, yes. And now we've got the image, and you just want to make sure that where you save the image is somewhere that you know where it is, so you don't have to go looking for it. Always save them to, you know, your pictures folder or your downloads folder, or make a new folder for digitizing images like I have. And always save your stuff for digitizing in the same place so that you always know where to find it and you don't have to go looking for it. Okay? That's a tip. Alright, so we've got our image downloaded. Now, for those of you following along at home, this image is also provided to you on your CD that I gave you in class, so you don't actually have to go download this. But it's the same process that you narrow down and find an image that's going to work. That's nice, clean colors like this, you know, cartoon type image. That's what you're looking for on Google image search, and that's how you're going to get good artwork that's going to work right the first time. Anyway, so let's go to the digitizing program now. We're going to go back to MasterWorks. I'm going to open up my MasterWorks. Here it is. To get to your auto-digitizing wizard, you're going to go across the top here. We've got Home, Tools, etc. We're going to go to Tools. And inside of Tools, we've got the auto-digitizing wizard, which is this. It's the third tool as you go along. You got photo stitch, cross stitch, auto digitizing wizard. That's the one we want. You're going to left click on that, and then we need to select the image. So if you're doing it from your CD, you're going to left click on select image. You're going to go up to here where it says look in at the top. You're going to change that to say your DVD drive, your CD drive, or whatever. Click on that and the image will be in there. In my case, it's in my digitizing images folder. The name of the file is crab sticker. Where is it? Crab sticker. There it is. Okay, so you're going to select the image called crab sticker, whether it's on your CD or whether you're, you lost your CD and you're downloaded a new one or whatever. You're going to left click on that and choose open. Okay, so we've got our crabsticker.jpg, and we're just going to hit next. All right, now, for some reason, even when we have this set in inches, in the auto digitizing wizard, it still thinks in metric. I don't know why, but it does. So if you don't know metric, a good rule of thumb is to remember that 100 millimeters is roughly equivalent to 4 inches. Okay, so if you're trying to figure out how big something is, well, just remember that 100 millimeters equals 4 inches. So this image here that's 300 by 300 roughly is going to be pretty big. Okay, that's way too big. We don't need a design that's that big. It's like 14 by 14 or something like that. It's huge. Or I guess it would be like 12 by 12, but whatever. We are not going to sew this out at that size. So I am going to change these numbers, but first, I'm not going to do it yet, because if you look in this area here where it says select area to crop, if we look, this measurement that it's giving me is actually this whole area here delineated by this shading. So the image itself isn't 300 by 300. It's this area around it. So if I grab these black boxes, I can drag them up, down, over on the sides like this, and I'm starting to get a more realistic idea of how big this actually is. Like I said, the 100 millimeters is 4 inches. Let's say we'll do it around 4 inches. So I'm going to set my width to 100. It will automatically scale my height for me. So we're talking 100 millimeters by 80 millimeters. Works for me. We're going to hit next now. And we just wait. Depending on how much memory your computer has, processor speed, this may take more or less time. Don't panic if it says not responding for a few seconds. That's totally okay. Okay, so the next screen here, color reduction. This is going to show you how many colors it sees. And what we're seeing right here is perfect. We want to see the right amount of colors. And we've really only got white and black and yellow and red in this, and that's what it sees: white and black and red and yellow. That's all. So sometimes, though, you'll see lots of colors in here, and you're going to have to go in and reduce those colors. I actually have a really good video on how to do that already up. It's called Advanced Auto Digitizing. It's on my YouTube channel. So when you are a master at doing regular auto digitizing like this, then go and watch that on my YouTube channel, and it goes into how to reduce when you end up with like a million colors in here. It shows you how to do that. But okay, so there's still a little bit of editing that we need to do to this, and so I want to get rid of those letters, and I also need to change my background color from white to something else, and I'll tell you why when we get to that part. Okay, so we now need to edit this. So to do it, it's easy. You just hit Edit Image right here where it says Edit Image. We're going to left click on that, and it brings up my image. Okay, now it's really, really big. So we need to zoom out a little bit. And the way you do it in this program, this is just Paint. Every computer has this built into it. And it works the same way on all the computers. If you look down in your bottom left-hand side of the screen, you've got this little scrolly bar. You're going to scroll to zoom out so that we can see the whole thing. Now we're going to go and we're going to change, we're going to get rid of this little logo that's in here that says like Steez, whatever, I can't even read it. We're going to actually go and use a tool called the eyedropper tool. It's this one. And this actually picks, oh, it's called Color Picker. Well, that's convenient. It looks like an eyedropper. You left click on it, and we're going to click in here where the white is. We're going to left click that, and that picks that as our color. And the reason I don't just go up here and use the white is this might be a slightly off-white. You don't know. There's like a bajillion possible colors on a computer. So we want to make sure you pick it from the image itself, and don't pick one of these colors up here when you're doing this. And then we're going to use the paint bucket tool, which is this fill with color button here. We're going to choose this and just move our mouse over to the black area and left click, and boom, it's gone. Hooray. We do the same thing with the black. Use the eyedropper tool, left click, and then it remembers that we had the paint bucket. And by the way, when you're using the paint bucket, the drip, the end of the drip of the paint that's coming out of the bucket, that's your pointer. So we move that right over here, and boom, now that logo is gone. So the other thing we need to do is we need to change our background color. Now you only need to do this if your background color, which in this case is white, is the same color as some part of the inside of your design. In this case, the white part of the Maryland flag on the crab. If it is the same color as any part of the inside of your design, then the digitizing program will not digitize it. So we're going to pick a random color, but I'll just use pink. The color that you pick up here, you will not be seen. It's just going to be the new background color. So I left-clicked somewhere in the background, and it filled in the whole background of the crab pink. And that is going to be the background color now instead of the white, and we will have the white be digitized. So that will be good. So we've got our background color ready to rock and roll. We're just going to go up here and to this little file menu here. It doesn't say file. It's like a picture of a file though. And then we're just going to go straight down to exit. And when it asks us to save, we hit save. We'll automatically bring our edited picture into MasterWorks. Again, it'll take more or less time depending on how beefy your computer is. The one I'm using is pretty beefy, so don't be you know, worried if it's taking your computer a little longer to do these things than mine. But so we're done here. We've edited. We've got the right amount of colors and everything. We just hit next. And again, it's just going to take a few minutes, you know, more or less depending on your computer. And here it is showing us what it sees, the outlines that it has drawn. It looks good. It should look good at this point. There is a little thing over here that you can add or remove details. It says change the tolerance, press update outlines, blah, blah, blah. I have found that almost never helps. In fact, I have never had it help. So yeah, ignore this part of it over here. But we want to make sure that we don't fill the background color area with stitches. And we want to make sure that it did find the pink as the background, which it did. And at this point, we just say next. So last step here. For pretty much everybody, you're going to want to just leave this the way that I do it, whatever machine you have. So minimize color change, always lock the stitch, and trim, change it from never to always. Just hit finish. Now we wait. Again, more or less time, depending on your specific computer's amount of RAM and processor speed. But boom, there's our design. We have created our crab. Okay, so let's go ahead and put it in 3D so we can see it a little bit better. Up on your Home tab up here, you've got a button for Draw 3D. We can left-click on that and see what our design looks like. It looks okay, but it looks kind of funky. It seems like the black shouldn't be all the way in the back like it is, because it's kind of partly an outline. So what do? Well, we look at our sequence view, and sure enough, the black is sewn out first, and everything else is sewn out on top of it. The Autodigitizer doesn't know that one thing is an outline and another part of it is not. It's not real good at layering. So this is what we have to do. We're going to left-click on the black in our sequence view and drag it down right on top of the very last thing, and let go, and boom. Now our crab looks way better. Way better. Excellent. So essentially, that's it. Now we can do our own edits of this. We can select an individual area and change the properties of it. Like for instance, if I don't like the stitch direction in a particular part of a design, I can left click on this yellow rhombus here, and I can go in and go to my reform button up here. Now we haven't talked about any of this, but if you want to change the direction of stitching, you go up here to reform and choose add inclination. And I've got some other videos where I talk about stitch direction and stuff, but this is just kind of an example of the kind of thing that you could do with an image like this. If I go to add inclination and then click and drag a line in here, it's going to change the stitch direction to be in line with that line. The other thing I could do is change the type of stitch that something is. Like say I wanted to have all of the inside part of this just be what's called a regular fill stitch. I can do that. I can go and select and I would do it to probably everything except for the outline, really, for this. I could go in and select all my red, and even if I want to select all the things at once, I can hold down Control and left click on yellow and white also. And then I could go up to apply stitches and change what type of stitch all these are. So if I want these all to be just a standard fill, which is going to get rid of kind of how this is like a weirdly shaped piece in here and this and here. If I want that to kind of all be flat and uniform, I can set that to be a standard fill. And look, now everything, see, that looks a little bit better, I think, that way. But you can go in and mess with everything and change it up to be however you think it looks good. Now I know that if you're just getting started with this, you probably don't know how to go about doing that, but that's okay. We're going to learn all that throughout the course of this club. But I just kind of want to give you an idea for the kinds of things that can be done, as well as you know, how to do basic things. So if you did that, we've got this ready to go here. We've got this crab. He's about 4 inches wide. Actually, if you look at the top up here, we've got width is 3.72 inches from tip to tip, and the height 2.76. So, but we've got this auto-digitized design. It's ready to go. So that's pretty fun. Now, what if we wanted to add some lettering? We can do that. I want to show you guys how to do lettering as part of this class as well, because that's something that everybody's going to want to do, and it's something that's easy. So if you go up to the ribbon bar up here, one of the options is text. If you left click on this, a little menu opens up, and your options here are text, circular text, monogram, vertical text, and text on a path. We're going to start out just doing regular text, which is going to be straight across on a single line. We left click it, and then we can left click in anywhere, really, and it's going to bring in the start of our text. By default, it's going to say my text. And if you look in your properties menu, we've got this little area where we can type things in. So I could type in, instead of my text, I could type in Maryland. And hit apply here. And I can move it. I just left click and drag it, and I can move it. Now, there's all these little buttons all over these, though. We've got like these orange squares and these blue diamonds here, and if you click on any of those, something will happen. So if you're trying to move your design, you want to make sure that you're not on any of these, and what you want to make sure is that your cursor is a hand. If your cursor is a hand, then it's going to move it, the lettering. It's going to move it when you click and drag. If it's something else, it's going to do something else, right? So I've got all these different handles, and actually I'm going to include in here a video that explains what all these handles do. But like, for instance, this one would bow it up from the top, so I can make kind of like they call it an envelope, actually. And here it's warning me that I've actually made a stitch that's too long in the course of doing this. So if that happens, you might want to, you know, take it back, you know, maybe undo to a point before you started messing with it, because it is actually possible to create a design that is impossible to sew out, and that message that you get there is a warning that you may have done that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you did, and eventually you'll get kind of an idea for you know, when it's safe to ignore that. But when you're first getting started, it's best to listen to the program when it yells at you for creating satin segments that are too long. And we'll get into, throughout the course of this club, we're going to get into different situations where you can ignore that. But anyway, whenever you see that, you want to think, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why is this not working? Why is the program yelling at me for this? Anyway, so the point of this was really just to get you to see how to bring in some simple text. To change your font, you're going to go over in your properties menu down here, right here where it says font, there's a little button with a little arrow on it. You click on that, and these are your different fonts you can choose from. There's a ton of these. Okay, these are all good fonts, and they all sew out really, really nicely. You just have to pay attention to one thing, and that is your maximum size and minimum size, actually, for any of these fonts. So we pick the font, and the size that it comes up by default is going to work. Okay, so that size, if that size is acceptable, cool, it's gonna work. But most of the time you're probably going to want to change the size of any given font, and that's fine. You can do that as long as you go over and hit this little question mark button over here right next to the name of the font. It's going to come up with a little window, and it's going to show me what characters are digitized. So I've got uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and a couple of symbols. And then the really important part is the recommended heights. Minimum height is 0.24 inches. Maximum height is 1.7 inches. Okay, if you go beyond those settings, then that's on you. The program told you that it might not work, and in fact it might let me go a little smaller than 0.24, and it still might look okay, but if you stay within the parameters, then it will definitely work. Okay, so if you have to make letters that are gonna have to be smaller than 6 millimeters, then don't use this font. Or I'm sorry, 0.24 inches, then don't use this font. Pick a different font that has a smaller maximum minimum size. Same with the maximum height. If I need a letter that's bigger than 2 inches, well, you need to use a different font, or you can actually change the font so that it doesn't use a satin stitch, so it uses a fill stitch. And again, we'll get into doing that later, but that's just something to be aware of. When you're just doing basic lettering, make sure you don't make it any bigger than it tells you to make it in this little menu. Okay, and that was accessed again by this little question mark down here. So what if I want this to be on a circle instead of on a straightaway? Well, when I had created it, I could have chosen circular text instead of straight across text. But if I've already got it and I want to put it on a circle, I can go and make sure that your mouse is a hand, right click, and change it to circle frame. And boom, you've got it on a circle. Now, it's too big. I can't see I can't see the rest of Maryland. So I could go up here, do zoom to fit to see the whole thing, or I can, again, grab with my, my icon as a hand and move it down. Or the other thing I can do is, you see this blue circle here? It's weird because it's both rotate, let me rotate it, and it changes the size of the circle that you're on. Okay. Oh, see, look, I just grabbed the wrong thing. See, I was trying to move my design, and I grabbed a letter instead of the whole design because I wasn't patient enough to look and make sure that I had my hand on there. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to go back and see now my icon is a hand, and now it will let me move it. Okay, so I've got Maryland, and then we can also do something on the lower part of this here. So we're going to do has crabs. Nah. So, you know, lowbrow humor there, but that's all right. You see this on a lot of, like, souvenir stuff. So you could make a silly shirt for somebody that's coming to visit, and they'd have an awesome souvenir that you didn't have to buy at the airport. I mean, of course, you can make it say anything you want to. That's it. That's how you do auto-digitizing. That's some basic lettering. I'm going to throw in on the CD some other videos that are already on YouTube, but I think that would be useful for you guys just starting the MasterWorks Club class. If you've already seen the videos, and if this class was a little too basic for you, then don't worry, because believe me, we're going to get hardcore pretty quick. But I want to make sure that everybody, you know, I want to gauge everybody's skill levels and see what kind of stuff we're going to do for this club. So. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the class, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next month. Thanks for watching. See you next time.